world is full of legends about boogeymen, which have endured through local lore and continue to fascinate horror fans till the present day. A lot of these stories have their basis in real events and have taken on new color and embellishment over the years through their transference from generation to generation over stories and tales. One such boogeyman legend that still thrills horror buffs is the tale of El Hombre del Saco, the Sack Man of Spain. While the legend originated in Spain, it is also common to hear versions of it in Latin American countries, which already have a rich history in boogeyman stories. Let us delve deep into the history of El Hombre del Saco and find out how he became such an enduring legend. The earliest origins of the Sack Man story come from 15th century lore, where a man would be designated to collect babies that no one wanted and transport them to the local orphanage. The man would usually use a wicker basket or a cloth bag to transport the babies, most of whom would die while being transported. With this horrific story, it is easy to see the legend of the Sack Man as a boogeyman character shaping up. In some ways, the easy comparison would be to other legends such as the evil version of Santa Claus, as well as El Cucuy or Coco of Mexican lore. But there is a lot more to the legend. There exists a more concrete origin story for El Hombre del Saco, which deals with a criminal act performed in Andalusia, Spain in the early 20th century. Tuberculosis was rampant at the time in Spain, and almost impossible to survive. However, there was a local belief that drinking a child's blood and using a child's body fat as an ointment could cure the dreaded disease. It all began when a rich man contracted the disease and was desperate enough to consider this brutal means of cure. The man recruited a local healer and promised a large sum of money for the cure. Consequently, the healer and an accomplice began the task of seeking out a child suitable for their needs. In the month of June, the healer located the child, drugged him, and put him into a sack to transport to his final destination. The child, Bernardo Gonzalez Parra, was soon to meet a horrific end. When they arrived with the child to meet with the man who commissioned them, the drugged child was finally taken out of the sack. While still reeling from the effects of the drugs administered to him, he was then brutally stabbed. The healer collected the blood from the stab wound, dissolved sugar in it, and gave it to the man to drink. The most horrific part of this event was that the boy, only 7 years of age, was still alive when this was happening and witnessed the goings-on while being in excruciating pain. The child was then transported to a place known as Las Posicas, where the healer finally murdered him by bashing in his skull with a rock. His body was then mutilated, as the healer went on to harvest body fat from the child's corpse to use on the man as a cure for his tuberculosis. The body of the child was finally hit for the people involved in this heinous crime. Things did not go as planned and ended badly. Eventually, the authorities came to know about the horrible deed and all of them were caught and tried. They all turned on each other, and the authorities sentenced 3 of them to die, while the man helping with the crime was later spared from the death penalty on the ground of being insane. It's expected that the other 2 main players in the story received those sentences. In other regions, such as in Armenia and Georgia, children are threatened by the bag man, who carries a bag and kidnaps those who do not behave. In Hungary, the local bogeyman, the Mumus, is known as Zsakos Ember, literally the person with a sack. In Poland, children are frightened by the babok, or bobok, who is also portrayed as a man with a sack. In Russia, Ukraine, and Belarus, buka or babeka is used to keep children in bed or stop them from misbehaving. Children are told that Baba is an old man with a bag or a monster, usually hiding under the bed, and that he will take them away if they misbehave, though he is sometimes depicted as having no set appearance. In the Czech Republic and Slovakia, a similar creature is known bubak. It's a creature without a typical form, connected with darkness or scary places, making children fear, but not taking them away usually. The character of Surt, the devil, is used for that instead. It is often said, "Don't be naughty or Surt will take you away." To the Czech people, there isn't anything much more nightmare-inducing than the bubak. This monster has different names because there are different versions of the entity, along with different descriptions of its appearance. In some tales, the Bubak has a pumpkin for a head like an evil jack-o'-lantern. In other versions, it's described as a creature that looks analogous to the orcs from Tolkien's that wears a wide-brimmed straw hat. Some even say it looks like a dark and creepy scarecrow entity. The Bubak stalks the land during the darkness of night looking for prey. The creature's creaking cart pulled by cats can be heard upon its approach as it stares into the night with dead hungry eyes. The Sackman will only leave his cart to haunt riverbanks and woods, seeking out innocent travelers to follow to their doom. The monster can also perfectly mimic the cry of a newborn baby, which is a most useful tool to lure and prey for the kill. The Sackman cares not where the prey comes from or what they are. The Sackman weaves the souls of those it kills into decaying clothing it wears. Children that the creature can catch are not horrifically murdered straight away, but placed inside the monster's sack to an alternate existence where the child is aware and paralyzed, yet separated from mortal death. Sorrow will engulf them, as they must endure the daily existence of the Bubak. Only on the full moon is the child brought out for murder in a specific ritual. The Bubak takes extra care in weaving the soul of the innocent child in agonizingly slow torment. Though the Bubak may hunt primarily at night, it's not limited by any means to it and only prefers darkness. So the creature may be found in crypts, abandoned houses, dark woods, or anywhere that shadows reign. The Sackman's cart pulled by an army of cats is silent when it stalks such places and stays in a faded state between reality and beyond. But when the Bubak decides to leave such haunted places, the feline scream radiates in an overwhelming cacophony, and the cart bursts as if out of hell itself into reality. That concludes the legend of the Sackman. So if you find yourself alone out in the woods at night and you hear the creak of a cart, run.